It's a good way to start day number 2 here. We're finally with the CSGO section. I know a lot of you are very excited to get this. If we can finally get the schedule here on screen, we can talk about the games that you'll have the pleasure of witnessing today. There we go. Starting us off will be the MVP PK game versus Boot. And then following up, Greyhound versus Alpha Red. 2 best of 3s. We are here in the playoffs. So now there's no redos, there's no second chances. You lose, you're out. And you gotta make sure that you don't get out of this tournament if you wanna acquire that fantastic trophy. And I know I did this earlier, but you weren't here, guys, so I'm gonna do it again. We are going to start out with a team that's going to start us off with a Kick. Some of you here in India might know him as a Ghost, but they're actually a shoe. Give me a hand for Team Boat! Okay, and the second team that we'll be playing today, quickly, as we can see the fireworks already starting. Way too excited to get this team on stage. These guys will show how the real game is played as the big boys of the CSGO MVP PK.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, Selfish Guy coming from Swordfish. I think it's all sort of working together very nicely. But you know who I am. I've obviously got to introduce my panel once again. Blair, Daredevil, welcome back. How are we feeling going into day 2?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. I was actually bouncing with that music earlier.
Yeah, I think it's been very exciting to start things off today. But obviously we're here for the Counter-Strike. That's what we want to talk about. Now this matchup, Boot, Dreamscape, and MVP, has always in my mind kind of felt like a bit of an El Clasico within the Asian region.
It has for quite a while earlier on, right? But they were very 2 different lineups, so to speak. Like you had a team back then, MVP PK, a very different lineup altogether. Then of course you had Boot Dreamscape, also a different lineup. They've had ups and downs, and now we're seeing these 2 teams looking the best of looked in a very long time. And bear in mind, MVP did lose to Boot very recently for one of the, I think it was the Sydney qualifiers, if I'm not mistaken, right? 2-0 in the final. So this is going to be a vengeance matchup coming up for the Koreans.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a little bit from MVP and from Boot yesterday. How are you feeling about these 2 teams coming into today?
I'm excited for it, but honestly, you have to take into consideration that they have had multiple lineups, and now they're bringing in, again, the coach to become the in-game leader. So with that in consideration, I believe that MVP still are a bit of the favorites in this match, but I still think Boot can definitely prove themselves great here.
Yeah, definitely. Blair, you've obviously been watching Asian Counter-Strike for a while, I think, at least. These 2 teams, like you say, they seem to be maybe hitting a new level. Is this something that we're looking at right now, or is something toward maybe the future?
I think this matchup might determine the trajectory of these 2 teams down for the remainder of the season, right? Like, of course, when you look at yes, all things considered, if you take these two teams out of the picture, Greyhound's the only really big team over here, to be very honest. But I think I would like to see this rivalry happening. Usually we just have Tyloo, we just have Vici Gaming all the time. You know, they're the two best Asian teams right now. By default, like no one's really going to argue that fact. But then you have MVP looking to make a statement as a top 3 team. Boot, who have been in the wilderness for such a long time, and the lineup's all coming back together. We're talking about MVP now. They have Zayn and Zeta from MVP PK, and now they have HSK, their old teammate, coming in, and also we have Zeph, one of the legends in the game, still playing with this lineup. And then for Dreamscape, or rather Boot as a more commonly known right now, Splashgate, he's really showing up. He's finally showing his true form. He's been playing for a very long time. His biggest problem has been his inconsistency, but he's really stepping up to the plate. Benkai, the star player, is back again. They're looking good because of that. The two surprises, though, Bulbasaur has been phenomenal. He was a stand-in for them for the longest time, and they made the right decision to make him part of the starting lineup. And then, of course, the surprise pick of Davai, the Malaysian star, the second-best Malaysian player, as you have very kindly alluded to earlier, apart from Kazi, of course, is playing for Vici. The sheer firepower on this team, man for man, I think they just might have a little bit of an edge over MVP, just looking at the sheer firepower.
Yeah, so that's your gut feeling. What about you, Daredevil? I mean, obviously you alluded to the fact that you felt as though MVP maybe has a bit of an advantage here, but what's the keys for both teams?
I mean, after talking to him a bit, Boot that is, it seems like they haven't had that long to practice. I believe they've only had about a month to practice, so they don't actually have a lot of time really behind them.
Yeah.
They have had multiple, within those changes, they've actually been played a lot together before as well, especially since the coach was always there, so he knows what the game style is like. So I believe in that case, I believe they do still have a chance to bring out the old style that they've been used to before the lineup change. That said, though, there's still a lot to go here, and it is MVP after all, and they are the favorites. So
I like how Benkai is just staring into the camera, like into your souls. But yeah,
I wonder if he even knows that he's on camera.
he doesn't appreciate what I'm saying, I believe.
No, probably not. Probably not. I mean, and actually, this is an interesting concept, right? Because, like you said, Blair, the most recent result between these two teams was 2-0 to Boot.
Online.
And online, yes.
Yeah.
And when the teams were very new. But that's kind of something to go off. And, you know, you might look at that. You might look at the statistics and the history between the two teams. And then you see us talking on the desk saying MVP's the better team. Like, what's going on?
I think MVP, I don't know. Like I said, this is very 50-50. Let's just like put it out there, right? But if you look at the performances in this tournament so far, yes, we've only seen 6 best of ones being played. But I think Boot have looked a better team. Against Global, when they were playing yesterday, it was like, yeah, it looked a little shaky, but I had a chat with Alex when they were having breakfast, the in-game leader for Boot, and he was like, you know what, we kind of like made it look like we're a little loosey-goosey just to bait Greyhound into picking Dust 2 against them, which they lost to. It was 16-13. It was a very close matchup against a team who I would say are the favorites in this tournament, right? So I think Boot overall looked very solid. They looked very confident. The Koreans, on the other hand, that game against Signify, now taking nothing away from Signify, they had a great tease out on Train. They were hitting the shots. Like, Deathmaker was definitely a star. And by the way, they just like lost out in overtime to Alpha Red late last night, or else they'd probably be playing here today, right? So they are a team that definitely have shown what they can really do. But MVP CD side crumbling on Train of all maps is a worrying factor. Now, will that come into play here? Because Dreamscape, Boot rather, are going to be a much tougher opponent than Signify.
Yeah, can we touch a little bit more on that CT side?
Yeah, I mean, before that, you mentioned as well that they beat them while they're fairly new. I just want to touch on that, saying that actually when you're a newer team, you can be a bit more unpredictable. So I believe in that case, they did have a reason to, not a reason, but like a way that they can use that to their advantage. So I believe that's one of the reasons why they could win. Plus, it's an online game, so you can't really take that into factor when it's a big LAN, of course, with an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something we also have to start thinking about is the maps. I don't want to talk too in-depth about it just yet, or I do, but we're not quite ready to see the veto. So I want to kind of get an idea of what you guys are feeling. As far as the maps are concerned, what are we looking at? Because I'm looking at my notes, and I'm obviously not the analyst here. I don't want to put my opinion too far out there, but I'm seeing maps that kind of line up together.
People like maps. You can hear the cheer over here.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing, right? If you look at the map, the bans, it's going to be a very obvious ban. It's going to be Overpass getting taken out by Boot, because that's a map that MVP are pretty competent on. And then we are going to have Cash getting banned out by MVP PK. Now, the picks is what's going to get very interesting, because obviously when you talk about maps, you're talking about a very similar map pool over here. They all like playing Dust 2. They all like playing Nuke as well, which is very surprising. Surprising, all the top 4 teams who are going to be playing today all like playing Nuke. They're comfortable on that map. So we can see Dust 2, Inferno, Nuke, Mirage. Maybe not Train. I don't think MVP is going to feel that comfortable in Train, but 4 maps in common, and that makes it for a very exciting affair.
I mean, we've had enough of Train, honestly.
Yeah,
We
like
could use some
I
other
think,
maps.
I don't know if it's Group A or Group B, but the group with the MVP was 3 trains getting played back to back. So that was
Exactly.
kind of
So what's the mentality here for both of these two teams then, though? Like, obviously going in, we know that they have fairly similar map pools, but do you just say, hey, we know that the map pools are similar, we're just going to beat you on your own game?
I think they should play whatever map they're feeling at the moment. I mean, even if you're good at a map, every once in a while you feel a bit lackluster, like other teams are starting to counter you in that specific map, especially if you played each other multiple times before. So in this case, I think just play in your comfort zone, especially if you have a similar map pool. Of course, when you think of otherwise, then yeah, you can ban out the opponent's best map and try to keep in yours, and they'll both be doing that the same way. But if they're both having the exact same map pool, then I think it's just what they're feeling it right now.
Yeah, not much to really add on to that. I really do believe it's going to be a very equal map style, and I think they should have done their homework, and it should be interesting. I'm going to see Overpass and Cash getting banned out right here, if I'm not very much mistaken.
Well, we shall see. You're expecting the Overpass ban out from Boot
Yes.
and Kesh
yes.
from MVP,
Yeah.
so let's see if that ends up being the case. Now, I think this actually is going to be probably the most interesting veto that we'll see today, given the fact that both of these two teams, as you say, have fairly close map pools. I think for Greyhound, when we do actually see that Alpha Red match, that should be fairly cut and dry. Like, Greyhound have got a very, very good map pool, so it's going to come down to what Alpha Red can kind of work in there.
Yeah, I do believe, like I said, you know, for Alfred versus Greyhound, and I know that's coming up later on, Alfred need to be disruptive. Here,
Yeah.
I don't think neither of these two teams, I think they know each other very well. They scrim against each other. They're friends as well, right? So the first
So
one's
that
going to be
fist bump.
coming in. Overpass ban coming out from Boot, no surprises there. MVP's going to ban out Cash, and if they don't, I'm going to be very, very surprised.
You're going to get up and walk off.
I might get fired for that, but yeah, I'm just going to be a little surprised, a little flabbergasted if that happens. That's not going to happen. It's going to be Overpass and Cash
Luckily.
getting banned out. Not lucky, it's logic.
They're right
It's
there.
lucky we get
They're
to
right
keep you on the
there.
desk.
I know, right? I mean, anyway, so
So what are we expecting now from the picks? I think that's what we really need to dive
Dust 2
into.
Inferno.
Here we go.
So you can see the cheer over there. That's like the national map of the country of Asia. Everyone loves Dust 2. Let's be honest
I think it's
about
the
it.
national map of every country in the
Everywhere,
world.
right?
Yeah.
Inferno is. Oh, this is a ballsy pick. This is a ballsy pick for MVP. I like it.
I
Both
like it
teams
too.
like picking it, but at the same time, it is a high-risk map. If it doesn't work out in your favor, Boot could just run away with that game, right? But Dust 2 and Nuke, and I do believe the final map should potentially be either Mirage. Yeah, it should be Mirage.
Mirage
Because
or
Inferno getting
Inferno.
banned out. Inferno's a map MVP are very, very confident on, and the final map is going to be Mirage. I don't think MVP like playing Train. So yeah, there we go.
I mean, they have the option, right? That's the interesting part of it. Like, do they feel as though Boot likes playing Train less than they like playing Train?
I mean, if they don't pick Mirage, I'm just gonna open this monster.
Oh, it is
Wait.
Train.
Open the monster.
Just
That's not a punishment, though. That's a reward. You
True,
can drink
but
a
I
monster.
don't know if it came out on the camera.
It's better. It's better than eating a boot.
That's just true.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
okay.
It would have been great if I actually had a chocolate boot to eat here because we got
Yeah.
boot on the
I
side.
think
Honestly, have a
I
chocolate
think
boat. That would be nice.
Looking at this map veto, you know, in a sense we kind of expected this, but I feel as though this actually is the most unexpected possible map veto we could have gotten.
Yeah, I think Boot's going to be happy with this. Boot's going to be very happy with this. One thing, Dust 2, they look really good. Yes, lost to Greyhound yesterday, but I was speaking to Alex, like I said, in the morning, and he did mention, like, you know, we made mistakes here and there. So they knew the errors they made, and that's a good sign. If you get completely stopped and you don't know you know, where you messed up, that's going to be a problem, right? So this Dust 2 pick is a confidence pick. They look very solid, at least on the first game they played against Global. Nuke pick, here's a problem. Benkai, watch Benkai. He's get right on steroids. It's like vintage get right on steroids on this map. He's going to make his way behind the CTs at least like 4 or 5 times on the T side. He is going to be almost unplayable, at least if he plays to his old standard. And that's going to be a pain in the butt for MVP. They might be feeling confident on it, but Boot's going to be really confident on that as well.
Yeah, I'm going to back you up on that point because I did recently watch Boot and Lucid in the IEM Sydney qualifiers, and it was on Nuke, and Benkai literally destroyed them on the T side. He was running all the way through outer, getting up into heaven, getting up into rafters. No one had any idea where he was, and
But I do,
Bob's your uncle, essentially.
I do believe MVP City side will be leagues ahead of Lucid, to be very honest. But
Yeah.
despite that, I've seen him do this against some of the best teams in Asia, and that's going to be a point. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a thorn in their side. The final map, Train getting picked, I think that could be a blunder because this could still be 1-1.
though. 2 MVP or 2 boot.
This could be a blunder by MVP.
well, it was MVP that
Yeah.
technically got to choose.
Out of the final 2
Out of the
maps,
two.
right?
Yeah.
I really feel like Trade is a map that Boot are really, really dangerous on. They've historically been very good on that map. And again, Splashgate, like I said, he's been the linchpin of this team when it comes to Train. If he shows up, they pretty much win 9 out of 10 times. If he doesn't, they still have Bulbasaur and
Yeah,
Benkai, and both of them can opt.
I believe Boot really wants to make this a 2-0. I don't. Sorry, MVP. I don't think that they want to get this to a third map. I think it would be really difficult, especially on train.
Based on what, last night's performances?
Yeah, and especially based on his experience with them on train.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. But the thing is, I almost feel like Boot had an ability to kind of back MVP into a corner there because, as we know, MVP's actually pretty decent on both maps. But Boot Dreamscape, you could almost argue Mirage is one of their better maps.
Yeah, it is one of the better maps. At the same time, I think right now we are in a kind of current state in Asian CS where no one really wants to play Mirage because international teams generally do not want to play Mirage against any Asian teams. Because, yeah, you look at the stats, you're like, yeah, you know, they lost Mirage. I don't think they're that great. And they just completely dominate you, right? That's a map that can really go out of control and kind of, you know, you might lose control of the map if that comes up. But that being said, I did mention Splashk and Bulbasaur who can both opt. Splashk, Benkai, or Bulbasaur, they can have a dual opt setup going. On the other hand, if you look at Train, MVP do have HSK and they have Zeta. Both of them were primary oppers. So if you do see Train, it's going to be a very interesting battle of like dual op setups going on the CD side.
I don't think we have to need to necessarily wait for Train for that. Like, we've got Dust 2 in the pool, and
Yeah,
even
that
to an
can-
extent,
that
you
can
can
happen.
play the double op.
Well,
Especially in Asia, you're going to
Especially if you're MVP.
triple ops on the T side. Why
Exactly.
not?
Well, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but what's your prediction?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you.
Oh, what's your prediction for these maps?
Oh, he's throwing hard
Throwing
ones,
it, the
man.
hard balls.
I'll put myself under the bus
Okay,
too. Don't
All
worry.
right, you go first, Jordan.
I'll go first. Okay, what are we doing? Are we doing... I mean, I'm the Desco, so I should be deciding, right? But let's do it as a collective. Are we saying individual map predictions, or are we just saying the series as a whole?
Yeah, series as a whole.
I'm going to go 2-1 to MVP. I do think they can take it out on Train, to be honest.
I agree with that. 2-1.
The thing is, like, I look at this map pool, right, and I say, I think MVP can actually win 2-0. But I feel like if I say that, that's a disservice to Boot Dreamscape. Because I kind of, this is where
gonna be
my
close.
hang-up is with predictions.
Yeah.
I really feel it's going to be, if MVP is going to win, it has to be 2-0. I completely agree with you. If Boot take either of the first two maps, I think Boot's going to take it 2-1. If you want to give a prediction, I think Boot are going to take this 2-1, I believe. I think they have the firepower, and they're looking fresher
See,
than MVP
and this
are.
is interesting now because this is totally contrary to what we were saying before we saw the map veto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a way, Boot has actually already kind of had mission successful.
I mean, considering their map pool and how close they are together, I believe it's still going to be a close game, whether it be 2-1 for either side. I definitely don't think it's going to be a 2-0,
Yeah.
whichever team it's going to be.
I want to see a 3-mapper here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this series deserves 3 maps. That's why I say I think it would be 2-1 to MVP. I always find it so difficult to bet against MVP, though, because to me, like, okay, yeah, whatever we looked at yesterday, they performed okay. They performed maybe not to the level that we wanted them to. But to me, it's always sort of felt like when MVP needs to play well, that's when they really kick it into the next gear.
But speaking to Dreamscape, I agree with you on that. But the thing with the MVP, Dreamscape, like I had a pretty long chat with Alex in the morning, and he was like, "This MVP is easier to figure out than the older MVP with Solo, because like that MVP was highly unpredictable. There's going to be crazy stuff coming in, and it was hard to read them. And it's like it's not like this team's bad. He's like they are better, they have more firepower and all that. But they play, according to Alex, they play Counter-Strike the way it's meant to be played, and that makes it a little easier to counter them. So he was just having a conversation. He was looking very, very confident playing against these guys.
So, Asian Astralis.
Kinda.
Almost.
The other interesting thing about MVP is that they've always traditionally been very, very strong domestically. But once they've gone internationally, it never really felt like they've kind of had much of an impact.
That's the same with Dreamscape as well, Boot Dreamscape
Right.
as well.
But
right?
but my question is, with these 2 new rosters, does that change?
Remains to be seen, right?
Right.
They're not in
We
Asia.
can't tell at this point.
Technically, they're still in Asia, but this event, like I said, yeah, you don't have Vici and Tyloo Renegade.
This is a domestic event.
Yeah, kinda, right? And it feels more like a mini Asian minor, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So for MVP, they would want to be in that final. They want to face against Greyhound. They have a point to prove, right? But the Dreamscape, Boot, they've been like lost for so very long, and seeing this team finally an SEA team again stepping up to the plate. Earlier it was a Rekka at one point in time, and Boot was really good as well. They cut, and then of course Bentet and X-Ray joined Tyloo. That fell apart. So it's a story. It's a story. It's 2 different storylines, and it's going to be very interesting.
And they are, yeah, you can say that Boot are similar to their previous lineups, but it is actually a new lineup, regardless how you check it. So either way, I believe that a 1-month practice could have a lot of unpredictability for MVP, and I think it's still yet to be seen. Like he mentioned earlier, it's just too yet to be seen to actually know or how to correctly predict this match.
I'd be interested to know if either of you guys have any insights as to how either of these teams prepared for this match, because I have a little story. I was just waiting to get the bus to the venue this morning, and I was having a look at both MVP and Boot. They were also waiting for the same bus as us, and Boot was sitting down on their little couch and they had their laptop up. They were all looking at the VODs, prepping and everything, and MVP's just sitting back chilling, playing some mobile games. So is that a kind of a discrepancy between the two teams? Do you think now with this new Boot roster, particularly with Alex as the in-game leader, they've kind of doubled down on that strat-heavy kind of let's learn what their opposition is doing and kind of counter-strat what they're doing? Or
I think you really can't read too much into that, to be very
Yeah,
honest.
it's their
'cause-
comfort zone.
Exactly, right? So there are many teams who have different approaches. Some teams who just want to, like, even to the last minute talk about strats. And the other teams probably done whatever they had to do the previous night before breakfast. And now they're like, all right, guys, chill out, take a breather, grab a monster. We're just going to play the game.
Exactly. That's the point in time where, yeah, some teams might benefit from actually watching the VODs and actually trying to study the enemy team. But some players just want to relax and not think about it before the match. And they say, okay, we'll put our full focus when the match actually starts.
yeah, fair enough. So Dust 2, Nuke Train, the map pool. We talked a little bit about Dust 2 being a fairly important one. I think in the grand scheme of things, whichever team wins Dust 2, in my eyes, actually now wins this series.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, right? And the thing is, Dreamscape actually looked pretty good on Dust 2. If you look at MVP, we haven't seen him play Dust 2 right now, but the few historical games I've seen him play, it's like they won those games, but the competition wasn't that great.
But was that with the previous roster or the new roster?
With the new roster, they've only played, I think, a couple of games. I'll just take a look at my notes over here. But that's the thing. Boot have picked this map. They look really, really good against Greyhound and against Global yesterday. Global, they just destroyed them.
Yep.
Even Greyhound, good competition against a team who like playing Dust 2 and who you would say would be the favorites in this matchup, right? So I really see Dust 2 going the way of Boot unless something crazy happens.
But you would say it's going to be a fairly close map.
Dust 2 actually might spiral out of control for MVP. I think it might be a one-sided game. But then map number 2, that's going to be a barn burner. That is going to be the map to watch. I feel bad for Observer, but I really want to watch Nuke.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well. Obviously, we talk about CT and T side and that kind of thing. But traditionally, I've always felt like Boot actually is generally pretty good on the T side. You know, normally with Nuke, you say, okay, CT side, that's where you're going to get the majority of rounds. But
It's not
seems different for
anymore.
Boot.
Not anymore. I mean, these days, Nuke has become mostly a balanced map. But yeah, you can say it's still a bit CT-sided, as it always is. But look how Nuke is now, the current version, compared to how it was, say, 15 years ago in the older Counter-Strikes. Especially Nuke in the newer versions of CSGO. No matter how good you are in the CT, it also depends on how good the enemy team is on the T side. So that's something that also to
And
take into
that's
consideration.
where Boot are really, really good on. Their T side is where they win Nuke, not on the CT side, right? I'm just taking a look at my notes. I just have to point this one out. I missed this one out. MVP, this lineup has never played Dust 2. They've never played Dust 2 so far. They've always banned it out. It's always been a second
So
ban.
it's all based on their scrims, basically.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just like a surprise map they might just bring out. They might just be ready for it. I'm sure some teams do that. They never show it, and then, like, at the event day, they're like, when your opponent goes for a punish pick against you, they're like, surprise. And just
We're actually good at this.
I wonder if they've had time, though, really to prepare for that. Because if you remember, they've really only made the roster changes since the Asian Minor, which was only a month ago. So how much time they've really had to kind of work on Dust 2?
Yeah, they've only played 14 maps before this event, like not counting the 2 trains we had this tournament, right? And that's not enough. They've played Inferno and Mirage quite often, but apart from that, Overpass, 1 win, 1 loss. Train, 1 win. Now they have 3 wins, of course. And then, of course, Nuke, they've played only once as well. Think about it. Think about it. The first 2 maps, they've only played Nuke once so far, out of Dust 2 and Nuke. That doesn't really give you much confidence.
Very unpredictable map pool at this point.
Yeah, for both teams.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the thing is, like, I've always associated MVP with being a good at Nuke team. And we've got Zeph still from the old OG roster. Zion and Zeta have been there for ages now.
Yeah.
So you've got that core 3 that was good on Nuke. HSK was in that roster last year as well. So, you know, maybe they have these structures already built for Nuke.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily perhaps the case for Dust 2, which is a little more recent in the pool, in the grand scheme of things, with MVP's roster.
I completely agree with you on that. And I think the thing is, like you said, even Gosu under HSK used to play Nuke. MVP PK used to play Nuke. So it's not like they're strangers to this map. Looking at the stats, this lineup hasn't played it. But then again, they've not played that many games, right? They would, of course, have a few maps in their back pocket to just spring out as a surprise. So, yes, the fact that they picked Nuke shows that they definitely have done some homework on it. They are prepared for it. But at the same time, being prepared and having done your homework doesn't necessarily translate into results. They haven't played it yet. I have not seen how this team is going to really play the CD side, for example. Who's going to be playing towards ramp? You have 2 ops over here. Are you going to be going for the dual op setup? How's your money going to be? If you don't have the money for the op and if your money keeps getting broken by this one guy called Benkai, your CD side is going to fall apart, right? So, like I said, before this map veto came into play, I was like, MVP might have the edge here. But looking at, I'm not even touching upon the final map, not even touching upon Train. Just on the first 2 maps, Dreamscape might just run away with this.
that's the weird thing, right? Because I feel as though for these two teams, like, both of them can get a 2-0 in this match.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
You don't think it can happen?
No, I'm saying anything could
Oh,
happen.
anything,
It's
sorry.
Asian CS, man.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the other interesting
most
thing
random
for me
CS
that I
series.
kind of want to talk about is like the storylines coming in for both of these two teams as to what this event kind of means for both Boot and for both MVP. Now, traditionally, at least as far as when I've been casting MVP, I've always said they're one of the top dogs in Asia. They're one of the best teams in the region.
Yep.
Generally, I would say they sort of sat around second or third place. For Boot Dreamscape, they're an up-and-comer right now, I feel like. So, time to find out how those storylines are all going to pan out today. Time to jump over with our casters, DDK and James.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody in Mumbai. This will be a very interesting best-of-3 series. I really do think it could go either way. I think that MVP are probably a slight favorite, but I mean, the desk thought it was kind of wide open, especially with the third map, and I would have to agree with them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an explosive start. You know, of course, as mentioned on the desk, both teams very, very familiar with playing this map and probably familiar, in fact, in matching up against one another on it. And so in that sense, we get, you know, it's a litmus test for the individuals and where they're at here. The Orpers who have free reign to do whatever they want. They're mentioning about Benkai and his ability to flank and running general shenanigans. So
yeah,
that'll be very interesting to see as we progress through the series and we get that that's a pulling and push kind of situation going on between these two teams. I would expect actually Boot, based on what I saw yesterday, to come out on top on Dust 2. I feel like they have more tools available to them. One thing I was really impressed with was Bobasaur actually and his ability to sort of just bail them out when they most needed it, coming in on retakes, getting surprising multi-frags, stuff like that. So and Benkai as well, very consistent performer on the T side, as we saw. There's a good balance between the T and the CTs as far as the individual performers go for them. So the MVP for me, James, they have a lot of questions to answer for this Dust 2.
All right, and here we go. MVP will be starting on the T side. We saw some good individual performances from some of their players as well. So I think that if one player from either side, especially if two players just have like a good day, then I think that might be enough, especially on a map such as Dust 2.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be a lot of fun to see where this goes, how the narratives shape up right at the beginning, especially with the new economy changes. Dust 2, I think, has become a much more balanced map as far as the CT and T sides go. So we'll see, of course, Boots on that CT side and MVP kicking things off on the T side to begin with. And we get an investigation there. Benkai leading the two-man push through the upper tunnels. Oh, there we go. Zeto's actually waiting for the push. Perhaps a good read as to the tendencies of Boots. Shows some familiarity, but Splashki will be able to defend middle doors quite effectively with that USP. And a very good start here for Boots as things start to slow down. MVP need to reconsider their options.
Minute 10 on the clock. Lots of time, plenty of time for a pistol round, even when you've lost a player. MVP not shy for a slow round. Nice to see a P250 on the HSK. That extra range over a Glock. Splash with some good timing on his peak towards the short position. Very patient with the USP. I think he's got a teammate in tow as well, but he has information, but not headshots just yet. Bobasaur flanking immediately. We see Alex is in CT spawn as well. 3 players flanking actually, very unusual round.
Okay.
Oh, there's a team kill. That's kind of awkward. Maybe he was paid off.
Maybe, but it's now a 3 versus 3, evening up on the numbers. Zeta losing the battle over Catwalk. The bomb will go down there for MVP. Quick flash over the top to allow Alex some space in with Devi. See if they can make something happen here. Sign and Stacks taking defensive positions. Now just down to Devi as he wraps around the zones. There he is. That's a nice first frag, but it's just simply too much to deal with. And now the MVP picking up the pistol round, and it's always a sorry state for the CTs losing their economy right at the beginning. But the force buy, I think, makes a lot of sense if they fully invest into this one. Just because if you go for the full eco on the first or the second round, your first buy doesn't really allow, you don't really have quite enough money on the third round to have NAWP for utility, and that's kind of what you want on Dust 2. So give the scouts a try, and sometimes they will deliver. In fact, I think it did for Boot yesterday. I think they won this round on the CT side yesterday, the force buy. I really want to see them double peeking the doors, the mid doors. There we go. It can be really effective. You know, you have this scout on the T side. He thinks he's going to be able to shoot people as they cross. You bait one player jumping across, and the 2 scouts peek at the same time, and you can get a quick pick. I think they will be splitting up, though, with the scouts and MVP taking things fairly slow, waiting out some pre-nades if there were to be any Molotovs or HE grenades coming through the doors. However, there will be none. Sign just trying to take the crouch peek there. Will there be a flashbang perhaps to try to push through the doors? I think I heard it deployed. There we go. Flashbang out. And Splashki with the scouts able to defend. That's a big pick at the beginning of the rounds for Boot, who have the force buy. You can see MVP taking over the long position now, and Splashki is definitely dangerous all the way at the back of the A-bomb site.
Keep going there.
And we can see him right up there on the top of the ramp, looking over, seeing what he can see. Zeph now moving up towards Xbox, seeing if he can find any CTs. And around these mid positions, when you know the CTs have done a force buy, the close to mid ranges can become quite favorable. And look at how active Splashki is being. He's moving around all over the place. That is fantastic. Great little headshot coming in from him. 2 kills straight away. That's going to force MVP to go for the push. It's just a catastrophe right now. They've only taken down Bulbasaur so far, but Splashki, he's looking to line up another one. Doesn't quite hit the mark there, but he's already done so much damage, and there is time pressure here. 40 seconds for MVP to get this bomb planted on the A sites.
They have control of the choke point now, more or less, MVP, with 2 AK-47s. All the CTs are coming from there mostly. There was one lower. He's been taken out now. Again, you've got the off angles towards the box. Now, MVP don't know just yet that all of the players are towards short. They need to keep an eye on these numbers. Moving down to this area might actually be more difficult, but he's using the smoke divide. Doesn't last very long, however. And that will leave Alex alone, 1 versus 2 to do some more damage, but 2 players will survive for MVP. So it did look scary, but they managed to overcome it in the end.
It's really good to see, though, as far as life goes for Boots, that already right from the beginning, even though they haven't really had it by yet, just off the force buy, he's showing that he's getting some headshots with the scout. That's going to feel good. That's going to help him to feel like he's starting to get into that zone, especially with the sniper. And again, Dust 2, such an incredibly important map to have your snipers feeling like they're on top of things and feeling good. So have to see now whether or not Splashki can keep things going. Of course, this will be a full save for Boots, so it's hard to really expect too much, maybe a couple kills at best. And you can see HSK is harassing the mid doors there from T-Spawn, trying to find the team being aggressive. And they will be aggressive down Catwalk.
Zeph in the lower tunnel for now, so that's being taken out. And this looks like a good run for MVP. They've taken 0 damage so far, and Alex is not going to last very long at all. There he goes. So 3-0 MVP. Now the game begins. We've got Boots with their first buy, the AWP, and so on. Let's see what they can offer to their opponents. They should have good utility as well. 3-0 start, sometimes still very common despite the possibility of an early buy these days for the team who loses a pistol. Alright, so Sign, is he going to get flashed in maybe? He's taking some damage through the doors. He wants to get somewhere quickly. It's a big frag into the middle position, but Alex is here as well.
Yeah, he is, and I don't know if they're going to be aware of this. They just try to clear this position. He's going to try to take a opportunistic peek, see if he can find something. Here's them jumping up on top of Xbox. Really so careful, already committing with the spray. They're really opening himself up for some counter spray through the doors, and it's just going to be start pushing through the doors as Bulbasaur's made his way around the back there. The long push coming in as Splashki pressures from upper tunnels, and they're just pushing everything at once right now. Splashki, very forward position, getting it around the corner in time, just about. Will he go for another shot here? Staying on the angle, trying to get himself some more value, but he will not be able to do so. But did buy just a slither of extra time for his teammates to get into position, as Alex might just push this smoke as he hears the diffuse going in. Nope, not feeling brave enough for that. There is some flashbangs on Bulbasaur, but he is coming in from the back.
Another molly towards the window will make life harder for Boots on the retake. They've got 2 flashes, they've got molly on their own. They can go below the window. I think they have deployed that, but now they need to make their play. Maybe counter flash is slowing them down. Stacks has still got another one. Time to start with the rifles. Now it's a 2 versus 1 for Divine. Not through the choke point just yet. Time is running out. He does not have a kit either, so if he wants to win this round, he better get a move on. But it seems he is playing for exit frags at this point, and MVP will get their 4th round on the board. There's Sign taken out by the window. Stacks will trade for an elimination victory. There's AWP as well. So 4-0 for MVP. That puts Boots in eco territory. So we may see some Kevlar, or pistol, or a scout. I'd rather really on Dust 2 a bunch of scouts over Deagle Armor or something along those lines. It is more expensive, but again, they will be getting plenty of money should they lose this round. AWPs, grenades and so on will be no issue. No good just for Desert Eagles. One smoke grenade on Bobasaur. 3 players moving up the long position. Zeta's got the angle. 1 shot, 1 kill.
Yeah, it's push with the CZ. That's not going to pay off. The utility doing its job here for MVP as they slowly but surely take more and more position closer to the A-bomb site. Long is theirs, and there is a push in the upper dark. Obviously, there's just 2 players left here. Benkai and Bobasaur with Deagles. Bobasaur's burning as we forced down into the open. Tries to get himself a 1 Deag, but that's not happening. And Benkai, he is quite far away. Although the running will be heard by the player who is in suicide cover. And he will go down. So Zeph ready and waiting. Trying to cut off any rotation. He does exactly that. 5-0 looking rather simple and straightforward for MVP so far. But Boots back in with a buy, and it's a big one.
Yeah, what's interesting is it's going to be hard for Boot to counter an MVP team, at least with preparing in advance based on the lack of data for MVP on Dust 2. So it will have to be about adjusting. It will have to be on the fly. But first, they need to get their first round on the board. 2 AWPs might be the solution for them. You've got Devi holding down a short position, but it's a big push towards the long area. Flashbang won't save HSK. Splash takes him out, and with that, they won't actually secure long or leave anybody there. They'll abandon the entire position, which is really interesting. They're going for a short push, but maybe assuming that they've secured the long area. That is definitely not the case.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it depends as well, on how good MVP's nades are, because there's lots of good options to throw nades from long. Like you could throw nades onto CT, you can throw them up, or rather smokes into CT from long, you can throw catwalk smokes, molotovs from long. There's actually lots of options from that position if the CT's defense is situated around the catwalk position. However, MVP will just chill out for now, see if there's a response from Boots, but Boot are in a position where they don't have to do anything. They have the 5 versus 4, they've got AWPs. The rifles should really play more of a support role to the AWPs that will be operating defensively on the bomb sites.
Some nuisance grenades in the mid position. So MVP will leave 1 player in long, and now they fight for short. This is going to be very painful for Boot. Bobasaur gets the flashbang. Splash has got to fall away. So now Boot don't have any map control at all towards the A-bomb site. You lose long, you take short. They took long, left long, took short, lost short. So now they're in a really awkward position. We saw a Dust 2 yesterday where everybody came up from the lower area, and that proved very, very troublesome. So Boot will try to take back the short position which they just recently lost.
And it's actually a long plan as well, which could be problematic. I think Zeta is down there towards the long position with the AWP. So life is not going to be easy here for Boots, especially if MVP are able to find ways to delay with using utility. And Boot, you can see that they're thinking to themselves, we just don't have enough time. We're carrying so much right now. Double offs, the AUG, the M4, everything. All the bells and whistles. They're going to save those into the following round. And MVP, James, they lost the player straight away, but Boot were not able to hold on to that advantage. MVP very confidently found a way to open up the catwalk position and then just took the bomb side. Pretty straightforward as well.
Yeah, if they had somebody there with a smoke on the door, then they are able to control the long area for a reasonable level of time. If you go close, you can avoid many flashbangs. Who knows if MVP would have been deterred from the position, but that was a really bizarre scenario where they just abandoned the position immediately after having the superior angle with the AWP. So normally you would leave somebody in the pit. So it's almost, yeah, I don't know why you would leave long entirely to take short. But maybe they took it for granted that MVP wouldn't push. Maybe they thought it was just one person playing a spawn. And it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, it could be that they were expecting it to turn into like a split, and that 2 players, or that they could isolate 2 players there, to take them down, maintain control of the catwalk position. But I do agree, it's definitely a big risk to just give it up. When you win that position, putting a player there deep, you can have so many good defensive options for very little cost. So we'll see if that's a different decision in the future rounds. But MVP, they've pretty much had whatever they want. So many options that have been working. We'll see the AWP announcing its presence from Zeta in the upper tunnels towards that B position. We have the boost here. This is a great boost to diffuse any catwalk aggression that can often happen from the CTs. If the CTs were to do a boost of their own. It looks like MVP might just try to walk into the B1 side, but it seems as though with the catwalk position, the long position that Boot have, they have a read, and they already have 3 players on B, James.
Yeah, so even if MVP are going for some kind of fake Or double fake, but are actually going to execute after the initial smoke grenade. The warning signs are here for Boot. Divide misses the first shot, re-scoping in. We've got Benkai, spot somebody up top as well, but doesn't go for a repeat, trying to break the shot. Held down, but he's still delivering frags. Survived by the window. He's got to fall away. He's standing his ground too long. He's standing in the flames there. Not really necessary. Went down for free. Ooh, that's a big bell ring. Now you can bounce a grenade off the window. Perfect stuff. Oh no, it's a team kill. What the hell? It's gone on the wrong side of the window. That leaves HSK in a 1 versus 4. How on earth did that grenade drop? Like, I don't understand. But anyway, Boot survived with 4 players. That is huge for them. But what was that grenade?
That was just such an enormous string of errors, James. That's really unfortunate. Oh, God. They had a really, there was a lot going for them, actually. They had, of course, Boots delaying on the bomb sites, and they was able to wrap that player, and that should have been a pretty clean and easy kill in the corner there, but it wasn't, and then it's a string of mistakes moving forward. So, you know, they were 6-0 up at that point, so it's okay. You know, they've got a lot going for them. They're gonna have to consider B for a while. Moving quickly up to catwalk position, taking long as well, going for a fast 3-2 split towards the A bomb site, and see they're getting the frag.
Oh my God!
Oh, much more comfortable here. Quick 3K, and that is got to be the round. 5 versus 2. Bomb's about to go down. Plenty of post-plant utility for MVP. As Sign will also hear Alex trying to run up towards the long position, and he's already set the flank in action.
Straight up deleted on the A bomb site. Nowhere to hide. Coming out of CT spawn. Brutal stuff. Brilliant shots though from Zeph and his teammate HSK. One of the 3 goals in. And the savagery continues. Just not expecting those kind of peaks of a Molotov. MVP with some quirky plays, and this will annihilate the money of Boot. They're in a really bad situation now. Splash has got just under 5k. Devi's got over 4k. So if Benkai can save this, never mind. 7-1 for MVP. Let's see what Boot choose to do now.
That's a great way to just forget about a horrible round. That B rounds was truly disastrous, James. I think from many respects, they had a good chance at it, but you know what? Quick 3-2 split, very fast pace. I think that pace change really caught Boot off guard, and that's awesome to see. Pacing on the T side is a really important tool that you need to use. Going slow, going fast, you know, alternating the speeds at which you run the rounds can really make things unpredictable, and it can actually catch the CTs out, and they can sometimes get unlucky and give up free kills because of the way that you're alternating your pacing. And that was actually an example there. They were also very out of position for that A attack. And Splashki, he likes sitting on the cattle position with his AWP, James, and I feel like he's more likely to get some action here.
Oh, there's some action. Beautiful grenade, and he chooses to fall back, but if you're confident in your shot, now the grenade's been thrown, unless you're fearing another one, might as well hold your position. It's a bit late to rotate away, but we'll see. There's minute 9 on the clock, and MVP look to take this long area. Bobasaur, if he hears any sound cues, then he could get Devi to flash for him. He needs to throw that flash soon. It's taking too long, Devi. There's the first pick, and the flash came way too late. Moving towards the car area, you don't have time for that. You got to just throw the flash. Take your best angle and throw it. 3 versus 4 in favor of MVP. Now they've got long. I think the bomb has been seen by Boots. What will they do with it? How will they take it to the A bomb site?
Smoke on the cross there, coming in from MVP. You see Alex will not be able to see really anything. Double smoke, perfect smokes across. Boost comes up. This is a fairly common response to see if they look out for it. MVP still looking on the bomb site, so trying to clear that. And jumping straight onto the side, not expecting the boost. And that's a problem. 3 versus 2. We'd have a lot of chances here. 15 seconds to get the bomb planted, though. They don't have too much time. They've got to be decisive, and they are. Great double peek coming in as the bomb goes down, and MVP 8 now to 1. But I gotta remind, well, I have to remember, James, that yesterday we saw it was the battle of the very strong T sides, and we saw everybody struggling on the CT sides. So it looks very dominant now for MVP, but I feel like, you know, we can't take it for granted that perhaps they may struggle on the CT side as well.
They may do, but Boot will need more than 1 round on their second half, going into the second half, to really stand a chance. I'm not seeing a 14-round comeback on the cards. Yeah, when if you have somebody playing that car position, if you're playing 3 on A, then it's very important. Not just if someone's holding with an AWP or something, but that player often is supporting with flashbangs the guy who's long or the guy who's holding short. But you've got to be faster with them. Don't have time to reposition when your teammate's got limited cover. Now Boots will have a Desert Eagle and a bunch of rifles. Alex with a SMG. I don't think Alex has got a frag yet. He is 0-2-7 at the moment. Not having the best of games. And MVP start their slaughter in round number 10.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of the weaponry here for Boot is very lackluster. Deagle, UMP, it's not a good look. They're really struggling. And you're going to take some big risks in a round like this. And MVP, you know, they look pretty strong. They just need to lose a pick there. Sign goes down towards one, but that's okay because MVP 4 versus 3s. You can use the numbers, looking to close down the B-bomb site. It will be the harder bomb site to take in this instance, but they should be fine here. They're going to be splitting onto this. Alex needs a big performance. It's pretty hard to know which way to look and which timings, and there you go. Instant entries found as MVP bulldoze the B-bomb sites and get the bomb down. Devi really in a spot where he just needs to save his gun, and this is looking beyond hopeless at the moment for Boots, James.
Yeah, again, MVP, we don't have data on them, but they are looking much stronger individually, I think.
Yeah.
More decisive, the way we've seen the entries coming up that short position. You know, Boot haven't always been efficient, but again, the T side might be dominant for Boot as well. But got to find a way to win a round. I mean, when did they win that round? It was only 3 rounds ago, but I could barely remember it. And again, there was a team kill in that round as well on the B-bomb site, so they had some assistance. It's time to pull their socks up. I don't know if Devi will survive. Surely he's been spotted by the player. Stacks. Yeah, he's lining something up from the car position. Where's the spray? Ooh, he stood up and got taken out. Might have wanted to stay crouching. 9-1 for MVP, and there isn't really the greatest level of money for Boot, so this may be an eco round from them.
Yeah, that would have actually been a really important save because Splashkey could actually get an AWP in this round. He's got $5,500, and Devi can buy for himself. So if he had survived that round, they would have been able to get the AWP. There would have been 2 other M4s, and they could have played some 2-man setups in positions, get a UMP towards deep on long, get an AWP and a UMP on the catwalk. I think there's lots of different options there if you have that core. But the AWP is, is a must. And you can see here that they have these hard decisions to make. They're still thinking about how they want to do it. And I think it's actually, no, it's looking like a save. The CZ is collected. We've got the smoke as well. Splashkey is going to get himself a Deagle and some Kevlar. And Alex, they're all going to buy it down to around between $2,000 to $4,000. So MVP, we have no reason to really doubt them at this point. They've been pretty confident. Going back into the B-bomb site, flashing through the smoke, fast pace, only 1 player here. And, well, Boot are completely out of position.
Yeah, but it was quite tacky execution for MVP. I think they must have thrown about 7 flashbangs into that B-bomb site, and they had a running execute the entire way. So that shows that they have plenty of coordination on their T side. But the T side is a proactive side. The CT side is often a reactive side. So again, there are other tests to come. But the big elephant in the room is Boot have 1 round on the board, and that's not enough. They are running out of rounds to lose in this half, and rounds to win, more importantly. So there's some kind of execute coming in here. Splash has an AK-47. It's limited to what they have to lose, but at this point, save the AK. Maybe it makes a difference. Splash on his own now, just running for his life. Got to be careful top mid. I think if he had stayed to his left when he's facing down mids and gone around the corner up top mid, maybe he would have had a chance, but
No,
there
James,
we go, no AK. No AK
There's
for
no hope,
Boot.
James.
1 to 10, MVP on double figures. Boot will have the 1 AWP this round, but someone needs to make a difference.
One of the concerning points here for Boot as well is the fashion in which MVP are getting these advantages. They're able to find these picks very quickly, and they're able to maintain this very fast pace. And Boot are kind of struggling to keep up with that. Quick push comes in. Splashkey does deliver with the AWP. Look at that. MVP really trying to take liberties, trying to run into the bomb site. That is very brazen stuff, very bold. And finally, Boot can punish in this round. However, they have managed to get a 5v4 early in some previous rounds, but been unable to capitalize upon it. As I think one of those rounds they took longer to pick, move back towards Catwalk, but beautiful entry there from Sign. He's really winning a lot of the 1v1s, and this is one of the reasons why MVP are doing so well.
Yeah, they seem to be quite happy with the flashbang plays, basically, or just the raw jewels. Again, they do have the advantages of the AK-47 as well, the 1 shot to the head from pretty much all ranges. Splash makes his way lower tunnel. Hasn't been detected by Zeph, and you can't be missing those shots. You might not get a second opportunity. Oh, he's unscoped now. And that's not going to work out for him. That leaves Benkai though, 1 versus 3. 1 versus 2 very quickly. Okay, now things become doable. He has a Molotov, he doesn't have a defuse kit, he doesn't have any cover from long, and HSK will be the only person picking long for now. Stack's looking for the flank. So this won't be easy. Now, what side of the box is it planted on? It's planted for long. He's got no cover if he tries to defuse it. So this is pretty much the worst possible situation for Benkai. Although he seems to be sneaking up. I think HSK is playing a headshot angle. There we go. He can't peek. He knows that it's a guaranteed death if he tries to defuse the bomb. And he doesn't have a kit anyway, so it still wouldn't work. 11 rounds to 1 for MVP.
Indeed, they are really making this very quick. I have to say the pacing of this is so fast. And it really does go back to the fact that MVP, they wait out some of the initial grenades in certain spots, and their default's not so much of a default as it is just sort of slowly pushing around the map. Let's push B, let's push A long, try to find the 1 versus 1s. And the AWP is a fantastic answer to that. If players are trying to play contact against you, having double AWPs shuts that down. That's the counter, is double AWPs, or even a single AWP if it's put in the right place. But MVP have just been so solid on winning these one-on-ones that it doesn't really matter too much. And speaking of AWPs, big deflection there from HSK, nailing Splashkey. And that's the B-bomb sites gone, I think, unless Benkai can get something done here with his scout, but it might be quite difficult. Scout is a fickle mistress, and Zeph is going to get himself another headshot.
40s in the B-bomb site. Now it is Operation Save the AWP. Sign has lower tunnel. Alex hiding in plain sight, maybe showing some presence. I mean, he could pick a weapon away if somebody gets a little too confident and he looks the right way at the right time. Has he got a shadow advantage here? He has no advantage at all, it seems.
He got demolished. Okay, another very fast round here coming in from MVP. They're just really keeping Boot on their toes. And one of the things I like about this, I have to say, is that if Boot are unable to slow them down because they aren't using their utility correctly, then there's this horrible factor you have to deal with on the CT side of Dust too, and that is the rotation times. So if you know early in the round you've got 3 players kind of deep towards the A bomb site, a fast hit comes in towards B and you lose the bomb site, well you're going to spend a good 20 seconds just getting to the bomb. So the round is just immediately lost. So these fast plays from MVP are punishing the CT side enormously on the rotations.
I think I might have seen a teabag there towards the end, a spot of Darjeeling Dan. 12 to 1 for MVP. The auto snipers are out. It's not even the last round. They've just got so much money, they'll do it for this round and next round. Auto sniper spam as they try to cross the door. Is it going to be painful? Not too bad. That's acceptable. Only Splash taking 1 point of damage, and the play is coming into the B-bomb fight regardless. Oh, he's brave before shooting, and he gets taken out. This is just not the start of the game that they wanted. You can see the frustration on Splash getting deleted on the B-bomb site. 2 of the Boot players have 2 kills in round number 14, so they're getting absolutely dominated by MVP. He's running around with the AK-47. The aim is enough, shooting people in the face. I don't know if there was quite the synchronization needed for the B retake and the flashes and so on, so that was pretty pedestrian for MVP, and it's about stats for Devi again. In a saving situation, he hasn't been in a position to win very often. I don't know if we've seen like short boosts from Boot. Oh no, we saw an aggressive play with AWP, then he got wrecked in a suicide position, so nothing really going the way at the moment. 13 to 1, absolute dominance from MVP. It is a dictatorship on Dust 2.
Yeah, I think, and maybe even half the kills from Boot are probably in just them trying to save their guns. Yeah. And so it looks really, really bad. They just can't hold on to bomb sites. They can't hold on to positions on the map. And that's a huge problem on Dust too, obviously. And we're going to see UMP's MP9. It's not quite that map. It's not quite the map for such weaponry. And the auto snipers once again rattling off, really delaying things towards that B-bomb site, where it seems that maybe we're just getting they're just pushing everything again. They're just pushing everything, James. Science walking out into the middle, shoots Splashkey in the back, and 2 players immediately dead. What on earth are you supposed to do?
Yeah, that's brutal. They had the pick towards long early, And we see Bulbasaur and Devi will be in long doors now, but they know they have to make a way out. And there's a 2-man spray down from Zeta, so just outclassed on Dust 2 really. I mean, if you're much stronger in taking duels, then Dust 2 is a fantastic map, and if you're on the weaker end of that, then this is what happens. Will it continue with the M4A4s? I think it probably will, and I don't even know if we'll get that far, because 14-1, there isn't much room for error here for Boots.
Absolutely is not. And as I mentioned, yesterday, it seemed like most teams were having trouble on the CT side. The CT side is, of course, a different beast. It requires a bunch of different skill sets. As James said, it's more reactive. And so in that sense, on specific maps, it can be, I think this is one of them as well, it can be quite difficult to find ways to disrupt the T's as they're setting things up and really making it a bit more complicated for them. But we're into the pistol, and as mentioned, this is a must-win here for the Boot side with only 1 round on the board at the moment. And MVP, they can make this a very quick map if they're able to pick this one up. Boot will make their way through towards long, and just Sign there, spotting, and he'll spot 1, and the rotation starts to make its way through.
Interestingly, if Sign went towards the short position with so many players in CT spawn, he would have a triple peek. But that's another way to do it with a pop flash. Not quite working out. There's another pop flash though. So many targets, not so many frags, and Boot are keeping themselves in this game. Stax has so much to do. 1 versus 4 versus mostly full health players. There is the low health player taken away now. So, oh, okay. Hold on a second. This is still winnable. Stax with 2 frags. He doesn't know that both players are on the site. He knows the bomb planter is, but where is the other one? Will he get around this corner fast enough? Because they're moving towards a short position. He does. Now, who has the element of surprise? Oh, surely it's a 3 kill. He had a chance there. Panicking, not being patient with the aim. I don't know if he hears the player. Oh, he's going for the hero defuse, but he hasn't realized someone's behind him. Looking for it now. Oh, God, it's going. It really is. The bomb's fairly ticked, but he's got a kill. Oh, he's so close. 6 bullets. He's got to find it quick. Benkai around the corner. It doesn't quite happen. And Benkai will just about clutch the round there. That was looking scary.
There's a world there. I was thinking, he's definitely thinking about jumping down and just knifing the guy because he knows he's just playing tight to elevator. But if he does that, he doesn't have time, if he gets a kill, to run all the way back around and get the defuse off, even with the kit. So good effort, though. That's an amazing amount of damage. And also, that's money in the bank for the USP. You know, as you get 4 kills to the USP at 300 a pop, $1,200 in addition for you. So that's always very nice. And there's definitely more damage to be done in a round such as this. You got the scouts out here. The force buy comes in from MVP. Always good to see on the second round if you lose the pistol on the CT side. And Splashkey has a scout as well. And he was pretty damn good with it earlier. Although they only did end up getting 1 round, but still. Boot will make their way up catwalk where there are 2 players from MVP waiting to receive them.
Top flash play from MVP. Very patient shots with the P250. Always nice to see, but it's will be another round for Boot. You know what I think would be cool? When you lose the pistol on the CT side, if you have everybody buy HE and play spawns, first the 2 players closest to long throw HEs long, the other 3 cross towards B. So if they spot down mid and they see that 3 people have gone towards B, they'll probably go A. If they go long doors, hopefully you double HE them, and the other 3 with HEs throw them top mid. So if they try to split and go up short, then you could just annihilate everybody. So I think that's a bite-off second round now. I've just made that up as we speak. So I'm going to wreck people with that later on. I look forward to that. But MVP 14-2 will have stacks on the B bomb site. This scout can be used in the next round. This was a force buy from MVP, so there's plenty of value to be had using this in the next round. You can see he enjoys the movement speed of the scout as well. But I suppose we should focus on Boot at this point. They require 11 more rounds just to tie the score. If they lose 1 round, it's game point. So lots of pressure. But I do wonder now if we will see the likes of Bulbasaur opening up MVP like MVP did when they were on the T side.
Yeah, Benkai as well gets a lot more dangerous on the T side. That's where he yesterday did so much work. So there's definitely, there's absolute potential to string rounds together. But as you say, the margin for error is nil, effectively, and that's really the problem. They definitely have the ability to to get a bunch of rounds together, but they have to be perfect, and that's always a struggle. And MVP will have AWPs and everything else that they want in the following round. So, oh, hello, HSK picks himself up a headshot. He's still going for the challenges, as are Boot. Okay, Bobblesaur's taking the tag as well. It starts to get a little bit worrisome, even though there's just pistols there for MVP. Once you get a couple of scout tags, which he did, HSK's tag Bobblesaur and Alex, now the USPs are kind of lethal against those two players that are tagged.
Yeah, and they're still hanging around in T-spawn. And this is not really ideal for them. But the scout's been lost for the time being. 3 pistoling players for MVP, and someone wants to pick that up. Flying, hiding behind the car. Okay, good. Well, not quite checks 4, but the money was there for quite a while. So in fairness, he did just stand and hold the L in order to get a kill. And now there is a chance for Zeph. He just requires 1 shot from both of these players. He could even go for a jumping scout shot. And Alex is the only person on the site with the bomb. But that will be the end of that patient play. They're ready for the double peek if it's possible. Boot, and that is round number 4 on the board. And now MVP are on the buy with plenty of money. Stacks with $6,900. They will have everything they want.
Yeah, that round was a bit close. That was very close for Comfort. MVP showing that even in the rounds where they got almost nothing, that they are very dangerous. And now this is really where it all begins, the comeback for Boots. If they can show us a strong, like a formidable way to approach their T side here, it looks like it might very well be a long take. And MVP, they'll be throwing the counter utility straight forwards, and look how deep that's going. That's a smoke to just lock off the long house completely. That is a very aggressive smoke. You rarely see such an aggressive smoke in this position. You can see it does diffuse the aggression from Boots, and they're going to have to be, they're forced effectively now to go up towards Catwalk. So now for MVP, the B split starts to become an issue. And so this is why Zeph is coming towards this spawn position, just to keep tabs on the maneuvering of his opponents, making sure that if a B split is to come in, he can try to delay things. He can get that information as to what the Ts are actually doing and where they're going.
So you can see this is more normal than what the approach we've seen towards long from MVP. They secure it with grenades, they leave a player in situ. That's fine, he's in long doors. And that kind of, if Boot had intentions towards long, it messes their entire game up. And at the minute mark, Boot have 4 players in the short area, but I don't think they'll be going long anytime soon. So we've seen a better hold in long, abandoning it and going for that short play. So we've lost a player for both sides. Fine on the flank, that's the bomb down in the middle of short, and now things are being ruined yet more. Zeph starts to move through. Oh boy, this is going to be an absolute desecration.
So waiting on the site, goes to the flick, misses, but the flank coming in is causing all the problems. Zeph with a double straight away, and they are getting sandwiched. MVP so active, James. Sign, he picked the perfect moment to go through the longhouse. And that round for Boot, they just didn't have any control of anything because of MVP. As you said, they used the nades correctly. They kept being proactive. They were reading the plays. They had good rotations, and they look like a way better Dust 2 team right now.
Yeah, I think we have seen that MVP are more coordinated. They put Boot in an uncomfortable position with the aggression towards long, and then it seemed that it was just too much for Boot to manage when they can't control what MVP are doing. So he said that the CT sides are mostly reactive, but MVP see that they can exploit Boot and will be proactive, and that just compounds the problems for Boot. And here we go again. They take long, they secure it with grenades, and they should leave somebody in situ. Last time it was Sign, this time it's Zeph. So this is a proper take of that long position, which was somewhat missing on Boot's CT side.
I love this, just walking through the double doors. Can be quite effectively going for a contact play. You can see the AWP there looking towards the window. It's a nice way to open it up. The first thing they see is going to be an AWP, and you don't expect it to be there. Here comes a rotation. Oh, well, it's been spotted now, so that's no repeat coming in anytime soon. Here for Spashki, they have to go. And just looking away, just at the wrong moment there. So now the CTs have all the information. They're boosting up. They've got the rotations in. Oh, and we're getting some kills here on the flank. This is not looking comfortable for Boots. Alex is the only one left, but it is a 1 versus 2. There's some time.
Sign flying through. If the shoe fits, then MVP will be the princess today. 16-4 for MVP versus Boot. It was very much a one-sided affair in every sense of the phrase. 14-1 first half. MVP absolutely dominant, regardless of if they were on the T side or the CT side. I think they were the more coordinated team, the more confident team, the more proactive team. And yeah, there really wasn't. It feels like there was only one team on the server for that match.
Yeah, it was. It's always a difficult thing where you have this. You have to earn the respect of your opponents. When you're doing very well individually, you're absolutely smashing people, winning all the 1v1s. Why would you stop doing that? You keep doing it until they can stop you from making these disrespectful plays. You're just pushing everything, going for these 1v1s, these things that shouldn't really work, that are very frustrating to be up against. But you kind of can't win your fights. You can't do anything about it. So that can be very deflating for the team that's on the receiving end. So for Boot, they've got to get a good mental reset now going into the next map. They've got to forget about that one. I think they were outclassed individually, and MVP really leaned in hard on that.
Absolutely. We are going to go to a 10-minute break. When we're back, we will have some thoughts from the analyst desk. We'll see you back here soon.